She texted. All right, go ahead.
Perfect. Okay. We're going to go and get started for time purposes, guys. So I have a workshop here. I know I emailed it over to you, Kathy. So if they happen to have a group meet that they're in or anything like that, that we could get it out to the local guys, so you guys can follow along. But otherwise, obviously, should go without saying, but lots of notes need to be. Yeah. And so, needless to say, need to be taking lots of notes. So this is a very particular thing that we're going to talk about here today. Something that probably doesn't get talked enough that it probably should be. And this is titled Selling Accessories, but really the main purpose of learning to sell accessories is a couple of things. Number one thing that I find that's really effective about selling accessories is learning how to go beyond just selling the homemaker sets. And so what I mean by that is that your bread and butter of a demo forever and ever is going to be our staple product, which is a knife set, whether it's a big set, small set, few pieces, whatever. Everything I'm going to teach you here today is just simply to give you guys basically some tools, some product conviction, and some processes to not sell more than just a veggie peeler, to sell more than just a random garden tool thing. It's to actually learn how to do the names and uses of most of the accessories, most of the outdoor items and things like that, and be able to put it into a way where we run across the right person at the right time, they buy more than just an extra $50. Because here's one of the cheat codes if you want to have a good SC1 push. It's your average order. The way that there's a lot of different ways to have a good average order, but one good way to be able to do it is that when you close someone on a set of knives, the hardest yes to get is the first one. Think about it this way. I know a lot of you guys are younger. Has anyone here bought their first vehicle yet? Handful of you guys. Okay. So whether you have or you haven't, the process is straightforward. You go to the place, you get some options, you test drive, you go through all the numbers, you decide whether to get it or not. You can invest probably about 1 to 2 hour process between picking the car, driving the car, working with the sales guy, going through the financials and all that stuff just to get the first yes. But then when you go through that process, that's not the end all be all. They send you over to the finance guy, like the finance manager type person, to talk about warranty, talk about add-ons, talk about upgrades, all these other random things and services they provide you, right? Those usually get sold in a substantially smaller time window. You want to think of accessories as all the upgrades. The car is the knife set. You're going to invest more time selling the car, but it's important you sell the car first. Selling all the accessories is great, but it's not going to be as effective until you sell the car first. Everyone following so far? That's kind of the analogy I want you guys to go into this with the right headspace. So here's a couple things we're going to talk about. Here's 3 main things. Number one is I want you to remember to follow the formula. There's a formula to selling Cutco, just like with anything, but we have our own formula as well. As long as you follow the basic steps, which I overheard a little bit from Kathy talking a minute ago, building value, price comparison, having product conviction, dropping down, things like that. That's all part of the formula to sell a knife set. You got to follow the same formula, just with a different product. Eventually, you're going to learn how to sell flatware. Eventually, you're going to learn how to sell cookware. Eventually, you might learn how to sell some business gifts. Eventually, you might learn how to sell upgrades and things like that. There's a bunch of different ways to sell a Cutco knife. But the point being is that there's a standard formula we follow. We just interchange the products that are in there. Number 2 thing we're going to talk about here is going to be about the names and uses. You obviously have to know what you're talking about. You need to know how to demo the basics of some of the gadgets and the accessories. If you do a good job with that, you will get a higher average order size. Here's the saying that I usually like to tell people on our events team is that you have to be really good at selling the free stuff. So when you're working on a deal on trying to close someone on a knife set and they're on the fence about it. And maybe the tipping point for them is they get that extra peeler, they get that extra pizza cutter, they get that extra pocket knife. If you don't do a good job selling them on that extra item, then there's a probability chance that it's going to be less likely that they're actually going to pull the trigger and buy what you're actually trying to sell them. Does that make sense so far? The idea is that if you get really good at selling free stuff, which accessories can be used as free items, obviously in their own right, then you'll have a higher probability of getting those bigger deals done. I've had people before, I think it was two plus weeks ago, I was working at a market days in the north side of Austin. And I had a customer who was looking at a homemaker set and they were right on the edge of buying it. And ultimately they ended up deciding to get it because I really did a good job selling them on the free cutting board and the free sharpener that's already built into the set. Most people aren't good at demoing those. They don't even really talk about them. It just shows up in the box. But I did a really good job selling them on those items and they bought it because of that. But then they upsold themselves to a bigger set because I threw in a couple of free gadgets they really wanted. And the funny part is by the time the interaction was over, I was like, man, and I always ask this customer the same thing, especially new customers, man, are you excited about your new knives? To make sure they feel really positive when they leave. And they always say like, oh my gosh, yes, very excited. But this particular customer is like, I am excited about the knives, but I'm really excited about that can opener. So the one thing that that couple was really walking away from was, I'm really excited about that can opener. And they justified buying a bigger set because that was one of the free items that they got with it for buying something bigger. So do a good job selling the free stuff, but you have to know how to do the names and uses of them too. Number 3 is you got to show everyone. There's something that I talk about like in events training called rookie mistakes. There's easy, common rookie mistakes that people fall into unexpectedly that can take away some of their CPO. Sometimes rookie mistakes being like, if you are brand new and you're doing a demo for a customer and you show them everything and they buy something, you get so excited about that you forget to ask to show them more things. The demo doesn't end once you sell them a knife set. That's just the hardest part to get to. But like I said earlier, once they say yes the first time and they give you payment information for like their card or whatever, that just opens the door wide open to where they're going to be more open-minded to add on other things. Honey, we already bought the car. We might as well get the tinted windows. Don't forget to show everyone everything. Comprende? Cool. Let's go on. That's the 3 main things we're going to talk about. I have a couple things we're going to be going through here today, so make sure you take notes as fast as possible for, again, time purposes. Here is what we call a transition line. Sometimes people will ask me, how do I go from this section of the demo to like this section of the demo without me stumbling, basically? So a transition line is how to get you from one section to the next. So for example, if I'm selling someone a set of knives and that process is done, I build a little rapport with them. I have their credit card on my side, things like that. It's all said and done. One of the bread and butter line that I always lead with them afterwards is like, great, Mrs. Jones, just so you know, again, you're going to love your Cutco. While I write that up, let me go ahead and show you some of our accessories that really complement a lot of customers' knives. That's it. Transition. It takes you from, it's like the handoff. You're going from selling of the knife set to now you're going to try and pique their interest to show them some other things. I'll do that again. Great, Mrs. Jones, you're going to love your Cutco. While I write that up, let me show you what most people like to complement their knives with. Again, we bought the car, might as well get the windows, tinted windows. They all have windows. So let's hit this first bullet point, follow the formula. What is the formula? Number 1 is you have to have product conviction. If you don't believe in it, you're not going to sell it. Can we all agree on that? Yes or yes?
Yeah,
for sure. Of course. If you don't believe in Cutco knives, you wouldn't be here right now, I would assume. Yep, you got to believe in Cutco. Number 2, you got to know those names and uses, like I talked about earlier. Number 3, you got to focus on bundles and packages versus selling singles. Your goal when you're selling accessories is not to sell one ice cream scoop. Your goal is to sell a gadget pack. Your goal is not to sell one garden pruners. It's to sell a garden set. Everyone following? So the idea is really what comes down to the nitty gritty of the question is, how do I get someone who's interested in a scoop to be open to buying all the gadgets? How do I get someone who's interested in a pocket knife to be open to buying a hunter's kit? That's the name of the game. Cutco will sell itself in pieces, but a good Cutco salesperson sells sets and packages. That's a good way to remember things. If you are really good at selling only single piece orders, that means that you're just really presenting Cutco. You're showing it, you're not selling it. A really good, like top tier, like Cutco sales professional is really focused on selling sets and packages and staying away from singles. And now, disclaimer on this, I'm not saying I don't write up peeler orders. I'm not saying I don't write up one piece orders. I will write those up over nothing. But my focus is what can I do in my power? What can I say the right way at the right time to get people to be open to just buying? We might as well just buy the gadget pack if we're going to get them eventually anyways. Cool. So let's go into some of the names and uses. So let's go and talk about the gadget pack first. And I'm going to give you guys a bunch of bundle examples that I personally use on my appointments and like when I'm at shows and things like that. So knowing the names and uses, let's start with understanding all the functions. Just a question for all of you guys here. Does everyone here feel super confident in selling all the gadgets right now? Peeler, pizza cutter, scoop, can opener, wine opener, sharpener, cutting boards. Thumbs up, thumbs down, sideways thumb if you're unsure. I kind of want to get a feel of the room, see where we're at. And you guys on Zoom, same thing. Need thumbs up, thumbs down, sideways thumb. If you don't have thumbs up, I'm assuming you're not listening, and that's just not a good idea. So, okay, we got a good understanding. So kind of all over the map here. So when it comes to doing the gadgets and accessories, guys, I'm just going to run through my gadget pack real quick. And you're going to probably be underwhelmed by it. What I mean by that, that's a good thing, because I think sometimes new reps make the mistake where they think like, oh my gosh, these CSPs, they sell so much. Like, I am just trying to hit my 3rd promotion right now, like let alone think about how much they're selling on an annual basis. They must just sell big stuff all the time. It's not the case at all. It just means that we just see more customers. So easy cheat code, do a lot of demos. That's step number 1. Step number 2 is just being really, really good at being at less is more. You need to be really, really efficient in mastering the name's use of each individual piece. So that way you don't have to spend so much time on each one. You can just summarize the important parts and just bundle it into a package. So let me just do it for you. Okay. So if I sold someone a knife set, Kathy's my customer, I sold her some knives, got her card, built some rapport with her, everything is golden, right? I'll start with number one, transition line. By the way, just so you know, Miss Jones, you're going to love your knife set, obviously, like everyone does with Cutco. Real quick, while I write that up, let me show you some of our accessories that most people like to complement their knives with. Would that be cool? Forgot to mention that earlier, but I always say, would that be cool? It's a permission question. People will say yes to that. When people are asked permission and then they say yes, they're going to be more open to what you're about to show them. Cool. All right. So just out of curiosity, Mrs. Jones, do you guys use any gadgets, accessories, like any of this kind of stuff over here? Now I'm visualizing a table with stuff out, but you have a book, so you can, do you guys use any gadget accessories, things like this? And then what do you think 9 out of 10 times people are going to say?
Yes.
Yeah, I've been looking for a good can opener. Yeah, we use stuff like that. Yeah, we have like 5 peelers. We have a million ice cream scoops. By the way, newsflash, everyone has knives before they buy Cutco too. So don't let people tell you like, oh yeah, I already have an ice cream scoop. Yeah, I already have a pizza cutter. Yeah, I already have this and that. That's like someone telling you, yeah, I already have knives. I don't need Cutco. Doesn't make sense. But the main thing, like in the customer's defense here, they just don't know what they don't know. The reason why you do the demo is to present to them why Cutco is better than whatever that they have. That's why they chose to buy it in the first place. Can we all agree on that? You have to have the same attitude when it comes to something that's not knives. Okay. So when we go into the accessories, it's pretty straightforward. So let me go ahead and run through this real quick. So essentially, Miss Jones is like, what we did is we just call this the gadget pack, AKA the take back your drawer special. Essentially what this is, it's just like people's knives. Everyone has a set of knives that's like a hodgepodge mixing knife set, like you were showing me earlier. And obviously we've solved that problem today. But most people tend to tell us they have 1 to 2 drawers full of gadgets like these. They have 5 peelers, they have 7 ice cream scoops, they've replaced so many can openers for $5 a pop from HEB year over year over year. Now, the reason why I mention that, this is for you guys. The reason why I mention that up front is because it registers what we call a pain point. A pain point is just when you bring a customer's reminder to the top of their head, where they're like, he's right, I have encountered that problem a lot. Sometimes people forget the pain of some of the issues they could fix just by paying some money. Okay. So the reality is that I bring that up to them and they're going to nod their head. They're going to say yes, they're going to nod, they're going to give me some sort of confirmation like, yep, been there, done that, read that book. That's a very good place to be in. Don't fall in there, Spencer. So with that being said, main thing is that once I realize that they confirm like, yep, been there, done that, read that book, immediately afterwards, I'm just going to go right into my names and uses. So basically, Miss Jones, we just take the peeler, the scoop, the pizza cutter, the can opener, and the wine opener, and they're all Cutco quality. So for example, the peeler, super sharp on both ends. It has a similar blade to our paring knife, so you got to be very careful with it. Goes forward and back, has the top part takes eyes out of potatoes, the blade separates for cleaning, throw it in the dishwasher, last peeler you ever need. Same rule applies to the pizza cutter. You know how pizza cutters get really like gunky and dirty and stuff whenever you're using them, right? And they nod their head and they know that story. I was like, so all we do, it's safe to the touch, but it'll go through quesadillas, cilantro, obviously pizza and stuff like that. But the best part about it, and I just pop it open, is that it separates for the dishwasher and you just throw it in there and then you're done. End of story. Cool thing about the wine opener. Now, me personally, Miss Jones, I just don't drink wine, but I like beers from time to time with like my friends and stuff. But my wife likes wine a lot. That's like her go-to thing when she like wants to relax at the end of the day. And what I really like about this one is that it's super, super tough, meaning that the corkscrew is built like a drill bit. It goes right into the cork really easy. It has a very rare chance of it actually, how the cheapy ones, like they break the cork sometimes and, that's frustrating in its own right. The cool thing about this is it's very rare. It's possible, but it's very rare that it happens with ours. You just screw it in there. You just use the little wings on the outside to pop it up. And then you just take the cork out of it, throw it in the dishwasher, put it back in your drawer. The best part is that these are all Cutco. So if they ever damage, break, or anything like your knives, guess what you can do with Cutco? Bingo, you're so sharp, Mrs. Jones. I do that, by the way. I was like, I asked them, when any of these gadgets break, guess what Cutco will do for you? They'll say, they'll replace it for you and be like, you're so sharp, Miss Jones. It's really cheesy, but it works. It makes them laugh. The idea is I bring that up to them so that way they're telling themselves, like, this is also a one-time purchase. Cool. And basically the last two, Mrs. Jones, is that it's going to be our ice cream scoop and our can opener, 2 of our best gadgets that we've ever made. I don't know if you guys ever do ice cream from time to time, but this is one of my wife's favorite things we make. It doesn't use chemicals, no antifreeze, nothing like that. It's built of a zinc alloy, so it actually melts ice cream while you scoop it. It is dishwasher safe when most of them are not. And same thing, if it ever pits, bubbles, or corrodes, send it back, get a new one. The last one is our can opener. Now, Miss Jones, I don't know about you, but so many customers are like buying $5 cheapy can openers like every 6 months. It's kind of how it goes. This is sharp again, like our knives. You'll notice the blade is angled more inside. The reason why they make it that way is so it cuts more on the inside of the can. And what's cool is it cuts really easy, and I'll just kind of like do this with the can opener. And then whenever you're done with it, it has a magnet, so you just pop the top off when you're done. And once you do the popping action, that's usually when people's eyes light up and they're like, boom. Always save the can opener for last. That's the best gadget. Save it for last. That's the one that's the most sought after one because so many people buy cheap can openers. Cool. So now that you've shown it all to them, should take you about 30 to 60 seconds to go through it all. Then what you tell them is this, is you go, so just so you know, Ms. Jones, we actually sell these as a package deal, also known as a gadget pack. If you like, I can go ahead and show you what the cost on that would be if you'd like to add it to the knife set. We do bundle packages, so anytime you buy a knife set and you add anything else to it, we can sometimes give you a little bit of a better discount. Pretty easy, right? It's not super complicated. Hopefully it doesn't feel overwhelming, but that's like the bread and butter of going from selling something like a knife set, transitioning into a gadget pack, do a really quick demo, 30 to 60 seconds. Now that they're interested, just ask permission to show them how much it costs if they want to bundle it. And the key phrasing is bundle. Use packages, bundle, deals, things like that. Those are all key phrases that I use. That way customers know that if I add this, I will use all of these things for the most part, but I will also save a little bit extra money because I'm bundling it. Fair enough? Cool. Now, on the handout, I don't know, did Kathy happen to post it in a group me to where you guys have access to this sheet that I'm going through right now? You guys have that?
It's in the Zoom chat.
In the Zoom chat? Okay. So if you guys haven't pulled it up in the Zoom chat, probably need to do that. So that way you can follow along and then download it obviously for yourself too. So with that being said, all the prices for all the bundles I'm about to go through are all going to be on there. And so the most common one is the gadget pack. And just so you guys know, for the peeler, the scoop, the pizza cutter, the can opener, the wine opener, and the shears, I include the shears in this too, by the way. And I also include a kitchen tool block. So I don't know if you guys know this, that customers can get the kitchen tool block without the utensils. And it's that little square piece, you know, that's like yay big. You can put the gadgets in there and they all fit. It's just a cool little thing that you can put together so it doesn't go in their drawer, saves drawer space. Cool. I sell a lot of those. They go for $436 plus tax. Obviously, you can split it over 5 payments. Cool. They get the 5 gadgets plus the shears and the little block. The kitchen tool block is free, so the CPO is around like $360 or something like that. A lot better than adding one peeler. Can we agree on that? Of course. Second thing is kitchen tool set. Now, this one's pretty straightforward. If they didn't get this for free when they bought their knife set, I think that's still one of the options that you guys are trying to bonus, right? Okay. They're super easy to sell, by the way. If they take the shears for free, the entertainer pack or whatever they get, this needs to be like a bread and butter option that you need to show people. Even people that don't have Cutco cookware buy a lot of these. I don't know what the reason is, but for some reason, when I have that little set like sitting out on my stand or anything like that, like people are just drawn to it and they buy it. Like when I don't have my kitchen tools set out, I never sell it. But when I actually bring up the kitchen tools, I sell a lot of it. Don't know why, but don't care. Like people love buying it. Okay. It's like a petite slicer. I don't know why that knife isn't the ultimate, but I'm going to sell it anyways. Whatever. Let people buy what they want to buy. So with that being said, the kitchen tool set is pretty straightforward. You just have to bring up the 6 pieces that come in it. By the way, sell the 6 piece, not the 5 piece. The 6 piece is the one with the masher in it. The masher is super easy to sell. Okay. If they don't want the masher, you can just obviously drop down to the 5 piece. But if you guys don't know this, the 6-piece kitchen tool set is $349 plus tax. It's about 300 CPO. The bacon serve set, $211 plus tax. The barbecue set, $215 plus tax. The garden tool set, the 5-piece one with the free bag, $285 plus tax. And then I'll show you guys a hunter's kit here at the very end. Okay. So let's kind of run through these really briefly. On the kitchen tools, guys, I kid you not, this is how I sell the kitchen tools. So, oh, Miss Jones, yeah, we actually have our kitchen tools. Do you guys ever use like any like spoons, forks, like any, you guys use like an arrangement of things like this for like your pots and pans at home? Of course, they all say yes to it. I was like, cool. Basically, all Cutco did is we just surveyed like the landscape of what most people use, because a lot of people tell us they have like a hodgepodge mixed match of like rubbers, spatulas, and like metal utensils, and like kind of just like an array of things. And this is just designed to kind of minimize all the hodgepodge into 6 main utility items. We put it into a block so it goes right next to your knife set on the countertop, so you don't have to jam all the stuff in a drawer, just kind of have it hodgepodge and like a random little thing. And what's cool is it gives you all the basic stuff. You get a basting spoon, get a slotted spoon, get your turner, Get your whisk. By the way, that's the whisk. I know it looks funny, but it's pretty cool. By the way, the way that you guys sell the kitchen tools is sell the whisk. This is how you sell the whisk. Because a lot of people are gonna look at it and be like, that's a whisk? That looks really funky. I'm like, I know, right? But the cool thing about the whisk is that it does a lot of cool things. So it has the coils at the top. And the reason why they do that is that it's just way it's easier to clean. So you can still treat it like a normal whisk where you can just keep it on the side of your arm, like right here. You can move the coils to either side of it, or you can move it both on, move them to both ends at the same time. If you guys kind of visualize what I'm doing here. Oh, we have them back. John, can you get me a whisk? The kitchen tools are right there. I forgot we're in a Cutco office. Perfect.
Well, spoiled. All right, what's he gonna pull out? I don't know. There we go.
Yeah. So, Ms. Jones, so obviously this is our whisk. I know it looks a little funky, but here's why they make it this way. So it has little coils right here. So obviously that you can go in, you can get it easy to clean. They're very flexible. They're easy to throw into the dishwasher. Not all utensils or all whisks are like that. What's also cool is it's shaped in the perfect way to where it's not big and bulby. A lot of whisks tend to be kind of in a bulby shape. So it's a little hard to get into the corner crevices whenever you're going into the bottom of the pots and pans. By the way, for you guys that never cook and have no idea what I'm talking about, it doesn't matter. Just repeat that. They'll understand what that means. Goes right into the corner crevices, just like so. By the way, I learned how to sell these accessories from Josh Mueller himself, like $8 million sales rep, you know, and like he sells a lot of kitchen tool sets, and I sell a lot more of them now because of selling the whisk. So, anyways, I do that and I show them like, hey, the cool thing is you can move it to one side, just like so. So you can stir around the pot, do the same thing on the other end. You can move the little coils around to both sides, just like so. Do a little figure eight action if you just want to do that as well. But the point being is they're way easier to clean. They're 100% dishwasher safe, like everything else that we make. And what's the best part about the utensils is that they're guaranteed, just like everything else. So I've had customers before who have been, busy with like kids and stuff, and they've like left them on the burner, melted the handles. I've had customers before that have accidentally left their spatula like on their barbecue pit, right? I've had people leave it into the oven and it like completely melted the handle and it like attached to the baking sheet. Stuff happens, it is what it is. But the cool thing is that even though it melts to the baking sheet, I've had customers mail them back to the factory and Cutco gave them a brand new utensil for free. So the reason why people invest in this stuff is because even if they mess it up, we still replace it for them for free. How nice would it be, Mrs. Jones, knowing that you could buy one set of accessories and then you have peace of mind knowing that we're going to be for life?
How nice would it be?
Imagine how nice it would be. Imagine how nice it would be to just buy one good set of accessories, have peace of mind knowing that it's actually going to work. And then if you ever have problems with it, we're going to take care of it for free. So it's a little different from asking it that way versus telling them. Mrs. Jones, imagine how nice it would be. That's the way to start that conversation. Imagine how nice it would be to buy blank one time, know it actually works, and then if you mess up anything, we take care of it for free. Cool. Those little one-liners right there can totally change someone's perspective on what you're about to show them or sell them. Cool.
Don't forget that, guys. That's something that I've talked about. It's the little things in our business that make the big difference, so don't forget that.
So I know I'm short on time here, so I'm just going to hit these. So with these, here are the things that you want to make sure to hit. The bacon serve set, I'm going to level with you guys. I never baked. I never have once in my life, but I sell bacon serve utensils to people that really like those little spatulas. So here's something that I would recommend to you guys. Number one, it's obviously useful to have. I know a lot of you guys are new and you probably don't have this yet. What I can tell you is this, the main selling point that I heard Josh talk about these a few years ago was talking about how thin and flexible they are. The cool thing about the little turn and serve spatula, Mrs. Jones, is that it's super thin, but it still flexes. So you can go right into the really, separating part between the baking sheet and the thin cookie. If you don't bake, you're like, why does that matter? It doesn't matter what you do. It matters what they do. So if your customers like to bake or they like to do cookies and cakes and stuff like that, they're going to appreciate something like this. Okay. This is one of those things where like you can show it to them for 20 or 30 seconds. And if they like it, great. If they don't, they don't. Not the end of the world. The barbecue set, easy. We're in Texas, probably going to get used a handful of times. This is an easy sell. Here's the way that I sell the barbecue tools, guys. And so the things you have to highlight with these is how long they are and how durable the tongs are. So if you haven't used our barbecue tools before, they're very, very, very underrated. And so what I mean by that is that, I use my story of my stepdad. So my stepdad likes to barbecue a lot, and his grill is literally, they have property out in Rockdale, got cows and stuff. His grill is literally uncovered 24/7, sitting on a random piece of concrete in the middle of all these cows. It's really ironic because cows are, I don't know, it's kind of a weird way to set it up, I guess. But yes, sir. Oh no. But the idea is that he has his barbecue tools, he's had them for years, and he just hangs them on the side of the grill pit. And after a few years of doing that, guess what happened to the tools? They rusted. Yeah, it's very hard to rust Cutco, but it is possible, especially if you leave them out there every single day for years. So they did rust. And the cool thing is that even though it was his fault, sent it back, they replaced them with brand new barbecue tools just because they rusted. No big deal. But what I sell it to customers as is that the cool thing about these Miss Jones, they're about 19 inches long. So they're really long so that we don't have to worry about flare-ups. If you guys know what a flare-up is, it's like obviously like things get too intense, the flame can pick up. And if you have short utensils, it might be too close to that flame. So it's just quality of life thing, right? The other thing is how durable the tongs are. The great thing is, Mr. Jones, is that the tongs are also about 19 inches long and they're very tough. What I mean by that is that I've actually had many times where I've done like a full rack of ribs for some friends. I can just take the tongs, go right in the middle, pick it straight up, flip it over, and the ribs don't break. It's awesome. If you haven't used our tools, highly recommend you guys do that as well. So anyone that appreciates good barbecue tools, $200 for a set of 3 of those, no big deal. It's all about what people value. And always remember, it's not necessarily about what people need, it's about what people want. A lot of people need a lot of things. People spend their money on things they want, though. Always remember that. People need a lot of things, but they spend their money on things they want. People need clothes, but they want Lululemon. People need to eat by grocery shopping, but they want to eat out for convenience. Is Cutco a necessity product? I'm probably going to go against the grain here, and I apologize, Kathy, in advance. So I know this is like anti-Cutco. Cutco is not a need product. It's a high-end product. But the reason why people really want it and why people buy it is because of what it offers in value. What I mean by that is like if someone didn't buy Cutco, it's their mistake. They obviously should own it. I'm obviously a big believer with that, being with Cutco as long as I have. But the idea is really plainly is that if you do a great demo and you have great rapport and trust with them, the want will be there to justify the means to buy it. They could buy knives in a bunch of places. If they didn't buy knives, their life would move on, everything would be fine. But the reason why people choose to buy is because we are a very, very strong want product that has very practical use. So you have to have that conviction whenever you're presenting it to your customers. If you can just swallow that pill on being like, hey, we're high end, we're not low end, we're a one-time buy, not a 5-time buy, we're something that people appreciate, not something people complain about. There's all the one-liners in the book I could deal to you guys, but for right now, we'll just taper it there. So garden tools. I've never gardened a day in my life, but I sell a lot of garden tool sets. So here's what I would tell you about garden tools. The way you sell the garden tools is you sell the pruners and the weeder. Here's what most people do when it comes to garden tools. They go to Home Depot and Lowe's, they buy POS sets, and they suck. Most of them are very low quality steel. They rust a lot. They break really easily when you hit rocks. And the crazy thing is they're brown and green colors for the most part. Why do you think companies would make brown and green colors for gardening tools? So you lose them. Why do companies make serrated edges that can't be resharpened? Exactly. This is the obsolescence version of gardening tools. Okay. That's why ours are purple and yellow and not brown and green. You have to highlight that to your customers because they're not going to think about that. But when you tell them, they're going to be like, that makes sense. Cool thing is that the steel that we use is also very high quality like the knives. It's not the same as the knives, by the way, so don't say that, but it is high quality, very similar to the knives. So you have peace of mind knowing that you can go down and hit the rocks. And even if they chip or break for somehow reason, send it back and get them replaced, no problem. I used the gardening tool story for my mom. My mom obviously lives out in Rockdale with cows and stuff. She loves to garden. I gave her to these for Mother's Day many years ago. And she lost her pruners one day. Farm life happens, cows, stuff happens. She eventually dug them up like a year later, right? Completely destroyed and rusted and all kinds of stuff. Sent back, got a brand new one for free. The reason why people love the gardening tools is because they're not cheapy stuff like Home Depot and Lowe's. The pruners are spring operated, so they multiply your hand strength. So even my grandmother, who's almost 90 years old, who has really bad carpal tunnel from working on computers and stuff, this is the only pruners that she uses for her garden still to this day. Those are the little things that you can do that even if you don't garden, that you can speak their language to anyone that has gardened in their life are going to be like, I like that. I'm going to consider buying that. Cool. And that's only $285 for 5 pieces, and you get a free bag for doing that. I will tell you guys a side note here. I don't know if you guys know this in the app. There's like many different variations garden tools, but one variation is the 4-piece set, which is just no pruners and no bag. So they just get the 4 like little pieces, and it's $121. You want to talk about something that's like ridiculously cheap? It's that. $121 for those 4 pieces. Stupid easy to buy. Stupid easy. but the pruners are a big selling point. So you got to sell them on the pruners. Don't focus on the trowel. Don't focus on the cultivator. Don't focus on that stuff. Just focus on selling the pruners. Focus on selling the weeder. There's a reason why it has a sheath on it, by the way. My wife gardens like a couple times a month, and she used to take an hour and a half or so to do our front and backyard. Now it takes her like 30 to 45 minutes because they're so sharp and they're very sturdy. So she can go right into the root and pluck it out. She doesn't have to dig for it and like keep doing it over and over again. Just goes pop, pop, and it's done. Saves you so much more time. Sell the pruner, sell the weeder. Focus on those little things that I told you about with the purple, green, and all that stuff. You'll sell a lot of gardening tool sets. You're going to get like 200 plus CPO a pop every time you do that. Cool. So let's hit these final points here. When in doubt, oh, I forgot to mention this. Any of these things that I showed you, the gadget pack, the kitchen tool set, the bacon serve set, the barbecue set, the gardening tool set, the deal that I offer them to do a package deal, because I don't just lower the price. I give them something extra for free as a bonus. It's infinitely better for you to just give something extra for free versus to do a discount of any kind. And most of these things are prepackaged, so you can't even do a discount. So the idea is like, say if someone's buying a galley and they like the bacon serve set, it's going to cost them $211. Miss Jones, if you want to go ahead and add the bacon serve set and bundle it with your knife set, then what I can do for you is I'll go and throw in an extra cutting board or an extra gadget of your choice for free. Adds an extra 150 CPO. Let's say that they're buying a signature set and they're interested in the barbecue tools and the gardening tool set. The guy gets something, the girl gets something. It's going to cost them about $500, actually literally right at $500 to be able to add those two sets to it. But if you guys want to go ahead and add this to your knife set, then what I'll do for you is I'll go and throw in an extra gadget or accessory or cutting board, totally for free, whatever you want. We'll get to it in a second, I'm sure. Just write it down so you don't forget. So on that note, you'll see that where it says bundle examples, it says free gadget cutting board for any of these bundles. Everyone following so far? So the key line to use, in case you haven't written this part down, but the closing line is very simple. By the way, just so you know, Ms. Jones, if, you'll notice if is capitalized in it, if you want to add any of these on today, since you're already buying fill in the blank knife set, then what I could do for you is this. If you do this, then I can do this. If you can do this, I can do this. Can we do it all time together? If you do this, I can do this. Yep, so smart. Look at that. So sharp. Look at that. So the idea is really simple, is make sure you have these closing lines down. They're literally one sentence long, but they will help a ton. It's called something creating urgency. Why would they justify spending the money now when they're already buying something versus just waiting and doing it later? Well, the way you create urgency is by creating a want and a desire to own it, and then give them an incentive, AKA a free item, a little bonus for adding it to their recurrent order. And just pro tip, if they're doing payments on the knife set, then just roll this into their payments. If they're adding something that costs $200, guys, it adds $40 a payment. I cannot tell you how many things I have added to orders that are on 5 pays, because I tell them like, hey, you know, it's $300 for the set, but 2 things we can do for you. Since you're already doing payments on your knife set, we can just roll it in. So it only adds $60 a month to your payments. And on top of that, what I'll do is I'll throw in a gadget accessory for free so you can double dip on it. That's really hard to say no to, especially if they want it. Do they need it? Not necessarily. Do they want it? That's what matters. Cool. For real, last thing here, and then we'll take questions if there's time, but I may be out of time here fully. I'm sorry, I went over a little bit, Kathy. For the best free items, here are the things that I give away for free the most. Number 1, by far and away, is cutting boards. They're 15 bonus points. You have to be good at selling the cutting boards. Quick little 15-second demo. This is how I sell them. Cool thing about the cutting boards, Miss Jones, I'm sure you have a bunch of them, but here's the thing that's different about ours. They're made of a polypropylene material. They're a heavy-duty plastic. They keep your edges sharper a lot longer. They have feet on the bottom so they won't slide around. They have a mode on the corners here so that we catch tomato juice and other things like that. They're 100% dishwasher safe. They're fully sanitary. The great thing is too is that they're Cutco. So even though they're not a knife, like I told you, everything else, it's guaranteed. Even if you take them to a campfire and they melt, or 5 years from now, you get them all cut up and nasty and dirty and have to replace them, just send them back in and Cutco will replace them as many times as you want for as long as you need it for the rest of your life. These are forever boards, so retire all the cheap ones and just have one good set of these. And if you do a good job selling the free stuff, those are very good to give. Turn and serves are great. I know that's random, but they're just really good little mini spatulas that people love to have as free items. I've given a lot of those for free with knife sets. The weeder, any of the trowels and the cultivators from the garden tool sets, like individually, those are great items to give for free. They're very low bonus points. And any of the kitchen pool pieces, except for the masher, any of the other pieces, great to give away for free. They're like 30 to 35 bonus points. I've sold knife sets before where I was going to throw in 2 gadgets, but they really only wanted the pizza cutter. And then I was like, well, if you want like one of these, I can do one of those individually. And they'll do like a whisk and like a pizza cutter, and they buy a set. So with the free items, don't be restrictive to like, I have to do an entertainer pack. I have to do this. Be creative. There's a lot of different things they can get for free. What I would recommend is gadgets, cutting board, accessories individually. You'd be surprised how much people will appreciate that if you do it the right way. That's what I got.
Awesome. You want to